Hey everybody, it's Wintermute, and I really didn't expect to be making a video this soon on this topic again. I kind of want to just let it die off and start talking about gaming stuff, which I'm kind of getting lined up. Um, but Wizards fumbles it again. There's no two ways about it. They screwed up again. They released another statement today, and I did read it, and I've watched some other people talk about it because it came out while I was finishing up work. And it's pretty bad. Now, it's not as bad as their last statement. Their last statement was just a condescending piece of trash. Uh, I mean, just horrible. This one's better done, but that's because I think they got a better. I think they probably hired a better a public relations firm. And I've said this to other people. Even though this reads better, I do not for one second believe that Wizards of the Coast, um, that this is a sincere thing. This is something that was written by a PR firm, pure and simple. It may have some employee's name on it, but I actually had somebody looking to do some background. I watched a video where somebody did some background of this employee. He's basically just like the president. He was brought in to monetize the entire thing. That's basically his background: is video games and monetizing video games. When you look at he looked at his LinkedIn profile. Now, maybe there was some other aspect to it that we're not aware of. He claims to have played D&D since he was younger, but that doesn't change the fact. Okay, great, you played D&D since you were a kid, but you were still clearly brought in to monetize it because that's what you're about. That's kind of who you are. So um, now they do apologize and say we got it wrong, but they don't say what they got wrong. They just said we got it wrong. They could hell, speaking out of the side of their mouth, they could say, "Well, we got it wrong. We got how we handled this wrong. We weren't in the wrong for trying to revoke the original OGL. We weren't in the wrong for trying to monetize everything. We weren't in the wrong at all about any of that. We just went about it the wrong way. So we're sorry, people. We got it wrong. We should have handled you all differently so that we can get into your wallets deeper." And that's really what I think this is saying. Now that wasn't what they meant when they wrote it, but that's ultimately how this is going to pan out. Now, the video I just posted, uh, well, I'm posting a video while I'm recording this where I talk about what is Wizards' end goal. As far as I'm concerned, having read this, their end goal is no different at all. They've realized the only difference is they've realized that they cannot alienate the community like they have and hope to be as successful as they thought they were going to be. They have to go about it differently. That's all. That's all that's different. Their end game is still the death of D&D as a tabletop RPG, and it is purely an online presence that you have a monthly subscription for, and you pay out of pocket. That I still stand by that. That is their end goal. Um, and this does nothing to allay my fears. This most recent statement. Um, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but they go on to say that we're going to do a survey style. We're going to listen to public feedback, and we're going to issue parts. And one No Nats made a good point. He goes, "Are you going to issue the whole thing, or are you going to just give us bits and pieces?" And that's a great point, because if it's just bits and pieces, what aren't they telling you? It's the whole thing, or it ain't nothing, or it's nothing. Well, first off, let me back up a little bit. For me personally, there is no conversation, and there should be no conversation, because I'm not a direct consumer of D&D. I am an indirect consumer of D&D, but I'm not a direct consumer of D&D products at this point. Um, but moving forward, for me and for anybody else, if they do not 100% say and flat out say we are not going to touch the 1.0A gaming license, the original one, don't even talk to me. I think we have to play hardball as the consumer group, as the wronged parties here. We have to play hardball on this. Don't even talk to me. That stays as it is, or we got nothing. If you want a brand new OGL for sixth edition, that's different. That's a whole different animal. If you want to screw up sixth edition like you screwed up fourth edition, go right ahead. They will. Um, so yeah, the survey thing, and the survey thing is very problematic to begin with. You can, and I'll put a link in this video. They do a lot of they do a lot of these surveys. And another person who has a gaming channel, I can't think of his name right now. I didn't think to look it up before I started recording. I'm so antsy about this whole thing. Um, but he did a great video where he breaks down. Apparently, he's a data analyst in his day job. And when he saw how D&D, how Wizards was running these surveys, he couldn't. He's like, I got to do a video on this. This is so bad. This is so mishandled. This is so problematic. And he gives examples and he goes into the history of it a bit. And it's a really interesting video on its own merit. And then on top of that, it actually is relevant to this current survey system that they're using. And these survey systems are, I mean, I can tell you that they're problematic. Even without having watched that video, I could have told you that surveys can be very problematic. Just because I've taken a critical thinking course, I've read books on critical thinking. I know how to, you know, uh, spot logical fallacies and statistical and the way statistical data can be manipulated. And that's just me. That's not like that's me in my day to day life. Let alone somebody who actually does it for a living. He's really going to tear it apart. So I would recommend going to watch his video. I'll make it a point to put a link down below. So that whole thing is very problematic to begin with, and you know I don't see why they need to. And that's another great point that a lot of people brought up. Just don't, okay, whatever. Put out a new OGL, but again, until you confirm you will not touch the original one, we don't want to talk to you. And quite frankly, anybody out there who takes part in this survey, that should be every response to every question. Do nothing else matters to me other than don't touch the original OGL. Leave it in place. End of story. Mic drop, all that, you know. And I think that's what people should take this opportunity to do with this survey. Just like somebody suggested, you go online for the D&D 1 and beyond surveys. I ain't paying for this. Not until you bring back the OGL. Same thing here. Same thing here. I won't go on too much longer about this. But then they go on to say, oh, well, we're not going to monetize your video content, or we're not going to do this, or we're not going to do. And quite frankly, I think a lot of it is BS. And somebody made a great point that, well, you can say all of this now, but if you leave the clause in there that you reserve the right to change this at any moment whenever you want, and we just got to give you a 30-day notice, yeah, no. The answer is no. And the answer for everybody should be no. Because, yeah, you say you're not going to do all this now, but then you change it 6 months from now. You change it 2 years from now. You change it 10 years from now. It's still too big a risk. You have a proven track record of being a bad business partner with the community, having a bad partnership with the community, being an untrustworthy company, and being full of crap. And I still believe everything I said in my previous video about what their end game is spot on. Absolutely spot on. This is still their end game. They're only going to go about it in a different way. That's it. That's all they're going to do. So yeah, and it is amazing to me it is amazing and saddening to watch people whose primary online presence is their D&D content, basically in the span of less than 2 weeks, say, "Oh, I'm done." I mean, that's wretched. I hate that Wizards has done this, but a lot of them ain't gonna come back either. Even if Wizards does a full 180, a lot of them will say, "No, you know what? You're just not worth it." I mean, this, God, as far as PR flops, as far as bad business moves, this one This one is one for the history books. And again, major that is, and that's not just me saying that. Now, I think there's some empirical evidence to back that up here in terms of bad PR disasters. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to be watching a documentary about like the worst business decisions in history. This will probably be on that list. And that's not an exaggeration. I really feel that there's a strong possibility this will be on a list like that, uh, moving forward with things. Even some of the independent, the major news networks are kind of labeling it like what a disaster for this company and its brand and the way it is alienating its community. And I mean, how many times has Blizzard been in the public spotlight in a negative way over the last couple years? Went from being an amazing company to just this corporate monstrosity, and it's just one bad PR thing after another, and it's still nothing compared to this. In the span of less than 2 weeks, a huge chunk. I mean, I've heard estimates of up to at least 30% just walking away. That's pretty significant, and that damage is going to be is lasting. And I even Bob the World Builder is somebody who I enjoy watching every once in a while. I don't watch D&D content, but I do enjoy watching his content for purposes of when he tests out how realistic is rations and things like that, and can you actually move 30 feet, within the time frame of a turn and things like that. So I enjoy watching his content, and even he's already talking about other tabletop RPGs on his channel already. Just over 2 weeks, and he's already, hey guys, here's my go-to. I think this is going to become the next game for my group right here. I mean, wow, what I dropped that hot potato. That's impressive. That's an impressive turnaround. So I respect his resiliency, but I hate to watch him have to do that. And then Jenny D finally did a video earlier. This, I believe it was last night or this morning, and you could just hear the hurt in her voice, where she ends the video with, "Well, now I got to go take some time and reassess my career decisions." Um, you know, now, I mean, quite frankly, a lot of people will say to her and people like her in her position, well, there's always Pathfinder and there's always other, but you know what? There are some people who just don't want to do that for any other system, and that's okay. That's okay. Let's not belittle anybody who feels that way. It's okay to say my heart was really in this. This is really part of my identity and who I am, and to have it ripped out, it's like getting out of a really, in some ways, it's like getting out of a really bad relationship. You don't jump right into the next one. Everybody pretty much universally agrees that's not a good idea. You need some time, and some people are going to need some time because this is a really deep cut, a real deep wound for a lot of people. So yeah, I really feel for her. I really feel for other people. Now I think she can easily continue to be a YouTuber. She's very charismatic and a great writer, and of course she's a great singer and other things. But whether she jumps right into pushing other RPGs or testing out other RPGs. Now, of course, even the how to be a great game master, his channel is already looks like, now I don't follow Twitter and all that other stuff, but he's already specifically put, like on his latest video, at the in brackets at the end of the title, he's put um, system non-specific or something like that. So I think he's already making an effort to divorce himself as well. I mean, obviously you need to, because they may come after some of your money, but on top of that, who wants to be part of that anymore? And he's very good that he can be system agnostic. And you could always watch, even though again I enjoy watching his stuff, whether he's talking about D&D or not, it doesn't matter. His advice about how to run a game is so good. Um, and I really feel for these people, to have to go through this. In some ways, I'm glad I never got back into D&D and D and that I chose Pathfinder as my game of choice. Um, But man, this is unbelievable to watch this happen on so many levels: a legal one, a PR one, empathy level, on a personal level. It's just this whole situation is just absolutely horrendous to really have to watch and deal with on a personal level for so many people. So I really feel bad for them. I really feel, my heart goes out to everybody. Um, and whatever these other YouTubers that are reassessing what they want to do, good luck in whatever endeavor that is. If you don't stay within the tabletop hobby. So that's it for today. Want to read out. Hopefully next time I will have something a lot more positive about gaming systems, actually about gaming, rather than this absurd situation.